This president pointed to the last president, Donald Trump, as a big reason why he was here today.
Yeah, this has been fascinating to watch because this is really the result of an evolution for President Biden over many months. We saw him run for office really criticizing some of the language that we saw Donald Trump using, and now slowly start to see him to echo some of that language and rhetoric we saw from Donald Trump. Biden started talking about shutting down the border, and that's exactly what we saw him do today here. He's basically lowering that threshold for the amount of people who can enter every day to 2,500. And that's pretty significant because just last month, we saw more than 4,000 people encountering the border every day. So that is going to be a huge reduction here. And it will only begin to open again once thresholds are back down to 1,500 for at least a week. So we could see the border closed for potentially days or weeks under this new order.
And of course, not everyone is thrilled with this new order, but it depends on who you ask. House Republicans, leadership, in fact, in a statement, calls it nothing more than a desperate political stunt to try and stabilize his plummeting poll numbers. Well, you can find some Democrats, progressives specifically, who suggest that Biden is defying American values with this action. Who actually is happy with this?
That's a great question, Kailey. You do have some moderates, people in swing states, who are applauding this decision today. And that is, of course, because this is a political vulnerability for Democrats, as it is for Republicans as well. But what you're seeing here now is with progressives specifically is they are not happy specifically that Biden has not pursued legal pathways for people, for dreamers, for DACA recipients. That is something that they want, quote unquote, positive actions or affirmative actions for migrants. And that is something they have criticized him over and over again when it comes to regulations that he's pursued in the executive branch. And of course, that is not in the executive order today.
Yeah. Well, he's also pointing at the Capitol, at Congress, knowing there was a deal struck in the Senate that we've talked for hours collectively about here on this program. He blamed Donald Trump for that never seeing the light of day. But we also have to acknowledge that Joe Biden today said this is not enough, that Congress still needs to act. The funding for the border isn't in place, and this will eventually need to be a legislative solution.
And I think especially because this could be struck down in court. We saw something similar happen under Donald Trump. We have ACLU saying that they're reviewing this action and they have serious concerns. So we could be in a position where we're back at square one, where we have no major reforms here. So I think some of those criticisms have some weight here because, again, we might be back to square one.
Well, and considering the back to square one nature of it, of course, as you were drawing the comparison with Donald Trump, Trump tried to do a lot when it came to the border during his administration as well and had some challenges in court. How quickly do we expect the lawsuits could come, Akayla?
They could come any day now, especially because this is going into effect at midnight.
All right.
Yeah.
Bloomberg's Akayla Gardner, who covers the White House for us. Thank you so much. Now, after President Biden's remarks on the executive order earlier today, he also was asked about the Middle East, specifically about how Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is handling the war. And he answered that question as he walked out of the room.
Is Prime Minister Netanyahu playing politics with the war?
I don't think so. He's trying to work out a serious problem he has.
Those comments arguably running counter to an interview he gave to Time magazine, where he said that there's every reason for people to assume Netanyahu is prolonging the war for political reasons. Let's go now to Bloomberg's Dan Flatley, who covers national security for us. So, Dan, you could arguably see how one point counters the other, but it also just speaks to the very fraught nature of not just the Biden-Netanyahu relationship, but U.S.-Israel relationship right now.
Yeah, certainly this is not an easy time for U.S.-Israel relations in the macro sense, but also as this deal sort of comes together and seems to fall apart a bit. If we go back to Friday afternoon, it seemed like there was a ceasefire deal potentially imminent. That, of course, did not come to fruition. And so now here we are, Tuesday of the following week, where all sides are still trying to work something out, but the U.S. and Israeli positions seem to be getting farther apart, at least in terms of rhetoric, although you did see President Biden give Netanyahu some cover with his comment today. So.
We also saw headlines today that Israel was preparing to accept a deal. Hamas said that it would not accept a deal without a permanent ceasefire. Does that remain the sticking point, something shorter term versus permanently laying down their arms?
Well, I don't think that Israel wants to take anything off the table in terms of eradicating Hamas, is the term that they've used, or continuing to pursue their military operations in Gaza. They don't want to go necessarily as far as a permanent ceasefire yet, because that would kind of take that option off the table. And obviously, from Hamas's perspective and from the perspective of the folks in Gaza, they would like to see a permanent ceasefire because it would mean, on top of some other things, a easing of the humanitarian situation there potentially. But it's a very difficult political position, including here in the U.S., for Biden to thread that needle because he's getting criticism not just from the right, but also from the left on this, just like with immigration, as Akayla said.
Yeah, very hard to win on these issues. We did hear from the State Department earlier today, specifically the spokesman, Mathieu Miller, who spoke about Israel and whether or not it was going to accept the deal that Biden laid out last week. This is what he said.
We are convinced it is the case that Israel is ready to implement this deal. As I said, it's their proposal put forward by the government, and they have maintained to us they are ready to implement it. Doesn't mean there aren't voices inside Israel, and voices even inside the Israeli government are opposed to it. But the government, speaking on behalf of the government, has said they support this proposal and are ready to stand behind that, and we take them at their word.
It begs the question, Dan, as to whether maybe that Israel is prepared to implement phase 1, but it's phase 2 where things get really sticky. If there isn't agreement on what phase 2 actually looks like on the part of Israel and Hamas, will phase 1 ever happen in the form of a temporary agreement?
Well, certainly the devil is always in the details. And I think here, again, you sort of see Netanyahu trying to preserve some maneuvering room for himself with his suggestion that this deal is not yet ripe. And the U.S. still trying to preserve the pressure that it has exerted on Israel to bring this deal to fruition, to have a ceasefire here with the comments that the State Department spokesperson made. So essentially all sides are trying to get to yes here, but the incentives are very different. Biden has his domestic political incentives, certainly international incentive as well. Israel has theirs, Netanyahu has his, and Hamas has theirs. And so we just don't have a meeting of the minds yet. But we're closer now than we were several weeks ago, so that is something.
There's been an argument over the timing of Benjamin Netanyahu speaking to Congress as he was invited by the Speaker of the House. This lands on a date in which the president's out of the country. A Jewish holiday conflicts with the date. Do we have an update on whether this may or may not happen?
No update as of yet, but certainly in the coming days. I mean, just today the House recently voted for sanctions on the International Criminal Court in reaction to some action that court took against Netanyahu. So that is obviously laying the groundwork for him to come here, speak to both chambers of Congress, and make his case. So that's something that we'll be looking forward to.